Welcome back, growers. It is Sunday, May 11th, and we're here to learn as we grow. Today's conversation is all about keeping the deer out. Are deer treating your garden like a salad bar? There are beautiful, productive, and pollinator-friendly plants that deer just won't touch. We're digging into the top deer-resistant plants for every zone, why they work, how to design the garden that thrives without becoming a midnight buffet. We're going to talk about perennials for sure. And the bonus tonight is let's go plant shopping with proven winners. And we're also going to talk about other methods other than the plants to keep the deer out. We're going to have the community chime in, and I have some things to talk about at the end. If you are on Team Replay, thank you for watching. Tell us in the comments what's one plant the deer always go after in your garden, and have you found a way to stop them? I do want to say, hey, if you're trying to invite the deer to your garden, this stream may not be for you, but I appreciate you coming to listen and talk and hang out anyways. If you want deer, plant hostas, tulips, daylilies, roses, and they like the fallen fruit from fruit trees. So those will help you bring the deer in. Let's head over to the chat and see who's hanging out. We have Adam who says, hi, Shawnee. Hey, Bowtie Dave. First comment dubbed. We have Storms, Radios, and Cats. Howie from Food Forest Permaculture says, I am smarter than a deer. I think so. Well, maybe, but deer-resistant plants humans cannot eat. Motion detector on a water spray to scare them. That works for more than just deer, for sure. Barry from Storms, Radios, and Cats says, the deer and I have made an agreement. Adam says, I don't have an issue with deer solely due to having neighbors on either side of my property and high fences in front and blackberry bushes too wide in the rear. Howie says, ribbon in the trees, bone biochar, dogs, hide the plants you want within a shrub, deer taste good, cougar pee, wolf pee, bear pee, propane cannon, zombies, homeless or hungry. Dave Knight, oh dear. My deer eats diesel. Our tractor is fixed, Dave, and it's fantastic. We used it yesterday. I was at the offsite garden for 6 hours. Adam says to Howie, oh, Miss Sharon, hi. Welcome in. Adam says to Howie, deer do taste good. I feel like we would get in trouble if we ever met up in person. We have Sliminy Cricket Entertainment. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our garden conversation about top deer-resistant plants. Hopefully for all the zones I will talk about this evening. Howie says plant fruit trees over 6 feet so the deer can't eat them. I know here at the offsite garden here in zone 5A of Minnesota, we had a couple trees. I think it was both of the pear trees. No, it was a peach and a pear tree. The leaves were all gnawed off, and it was deer. We found proof. And I took cattle panel and made cages and a T-post around just those two fruit trees because they didn't touch any of my other ones. Those are the only two that I caged, and gave them some nutrients, fed them fish emulsion water, and they put on new leaf growth. They survived the winter. They're still alive. That was something we had to do. Miss Sharon is reminding everybody, live chat are all messages, y'all. I do have the live chat replay checkbox checked. So if you come back on the replay and that's not loaded, but you want to see what everyone was talking about, wait a couple hours. It takes time to process and load. Yes, Howie was saying fruit trees, not fruit. That is right. So let's get into the list. First, we have lavender is good in zones 5 to 9. It is a perennial, yes. And why do deer avoid it? Strong aroma and bitter oils deter browsing. This is the list we're going to do, just words. When we get to shopping with proven winners, that'll have the images up. If you're a visual learner, I try to tackle all ways of learning here. Yarrow, zones 3 to 9. Yes, it's a perennial for those zones. And why do the deer not like it? It is bitter. Aromatic leaves are unpalatable to the deer. We do have a poll going. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Make sure you give the thumbs up and answer the poll. How do deer affect your garden? They eat almost everything I plant. Some damage, but it's manageable. Deer-resistant plants and deterrents are methods that I use to keep them out, or there's no deer problems in my area. Sorry for those of you in the replay. You can just answer the question in a comment and participate as well. Next is Russian sage, zones 4 to 9. Yes, it's a perennial. It's silvery, fragrant foliage is disliked by deer. Bee balm, Monarda, zone 3 to 9. Yes, it's a perennial. Why do deer not like it? The minty smell and taste are unpleasant to them. Next is foxglove, which is a toxic plant that was talked about at South Florida Sunshine Tropicals live stream. Check that on the replay. Zones 4 to 10, biennial, perennial. It is toxic to deer if ingested. Peony or peony, however you want to say it, zones 3 to 8 is a perennial. We have one, and I kind of want to get like all the colors now. Its thick, bitter leaves and its toxic roots is why the deer don't go for it. Rosemary, zone 7 to 10. Yes, the perennial for those zones. It has a strong scent and the oils repel the deer. Maybe there's a rosemary spray that can be used. Cat mint. If you are brave and you want to grow anything in the mint family. Nepeta, zone 3 to 8. Yes, a perennial. Pungent aroma and fuzzy leaves aren't appealing. I don't know if it's going to attract a different kind of furry critter, though. There's the coneflower, Echinacea, zone 3 to 9. Yes, perennial. The tough stems and bitter taste discourage feeding. The whole reason we're having this conversation, by the way, if you're wondering, is there was a conversation in a greenhouse today, and a customer was asking the staff, what are some deer-resistant plants? And the staff happens to watch Shawnee Grows. So if you're watching this in the replay, hi. They were telling the customer, maybe you could go to Shawnee Grows and there'll be information there to help you answer that question. So I was like, I could talk about that. I can whip that up real quick. So here we are. Going to the chat before we move on with our list to see what's happening. Dave Knight, plant radishes on your food forest for the deer. That is definitely a method. We do have the pinned message of, I'm sorry, if you want the deer to come to your yard, you could still hang out with us and talk. Howie says the bunnies like them. Giant German radish. Vay's Place. Hey, welcome to our conversation. Howie says shake your fruit tree and step on the fruit and stand back. They are now eating. Waiting, you plant radish. Next, Coreopsis, zone 4 to 9. Yes, it's the perennial in that zone range. The deer dislike its texture and taste. Then we have lamb's ear, zones 4 to 9. Its fuzzy leaves are unpalatable and hard to chew. Salvia, garden sage, zones 4 to 9. Yes, it's a perennial. The deer do not like it because of the aromatic leaves. Butterfly bush, zones 5 to 9, is a perennial. The scent and texture deter the deer while attracting pollinators. Now, what I don't have on here is how big this stuff gets and does it spread. Those are things you're going to have to figure out when you do your own plant research. Dusty Miller, zones 8 to 10. Everywhere else, it's an annual. I have some growing that I brought in the house in a little tiny container, a little pot. The silvery, fuzzy foliage deer don't like. Thyme, zone 4 to 9 is the perennial zones. The strong scent and tough texture, deer don't go for it, right? Daffodils, zone 3 to 9 for the perennial bulb. It is toxic to deer, especially the bulb. Love to spread those all over the food forest and have fun surprises in the spring. Alliums, ornamental onion, zones 4 to 9. Onion scent is offensive to deer. Snapdragons. Those are wonderful flowers to have in your sensory garden. If you missed our conversation about what to plant in your sensory garden or how to garden with different neurodivergent brains, we will include everyone. We did a live stream about it. Check it out on the replay. Link is in the description. So snapdragon, zone 7 to 11. Annual for all the other zones. It is bitter and unappealing to the deer. Fern leaf bleeding heart, zone 3 to 9 for the perennials. It is toxic and bitter to the deer. Black-eyed Susan, zones 3 to 9. Rough leaves and hairy stems deter the deer feeding on it. And so what do we do with this plant list? Well, you look at what's cute. What do you want? What's the height or width range you're looking for in the space you want to put them? And I had another thing. Oh, the sun. Like, do you have full sun or partial shade? All those plants are going to have different needs. And so understanding where all those are, zones and shade lines and sun lines in your garden space, your yard, will help you narrow down what goes where. I did not do any of that for you. You'll have to do that when you go plant shopping. So mixing the deer-resistant plants throughout your garden rather than placing them in one section, this disrupts the deer's browsing path and can help reduce the damage. Like how I mentioned, kind of hiding things with other things, right? Before we talk about our bonus round, proven winners list, shopping experience, and some more tips, we're going to head back to the conversation in the chat because you guys are with us live and we're here to talk, right? Adam says, my mom lives in Kent, Washington. She finally took my advice last year to build a double fence to keep deer out of her garden. A tree fell this winter on the double fence and the deer are back. Must repair fence. Adam, I have a feeling I'm making a trip to Washington to cut up the tree and mend the fence. Yes, if the tree hasn't been cut up either. Wow. They got in. Welcome back, Barry. Okay, let's load up some pictures and go shopping. So this is going to have repetitive things, right? Like things I listed, but now you get to kind of see. And we'll go over it all again. There's 22, and I don't know how many I just said. So here we go. Bee balm is this top one right here. The what are these names under it? Like certain varieties? It says leading lady, upscale, and pardon my monarda. It's a favorite of native plant enthusiasts. Colorful perennials attract bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds. Clump-forming varieties return reliably every year. And exceptionally resistant to powdery mildew, deer steer clear once they catch a whiff of their minty scented foliage. Plant leading lady bee balm for earlier color, then pardon my and upscale varieties to extend the bloom season through midsummer. Best in full sun to part shade. Here is number 2, Catmint, Cat's Pajamas, zones 3 to 8. It's a fuzzy, fragrant foliage detested by deer. The Cat's Pajamas is the dwarf selection, perfect for edging or walkways, grown in full sun, well-drained soil. It looks kind of neat. Very purpley, lots of purple coming up. We have number 3, Salvia, color, spires, and profusion, zones 3 to 8. This is going to attract pollinators. Its fragrant foliage is not preferred by the deer, but the bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds love it. Full sun, drought tolerant, once established. DCBs. The reason I have very little problem with deer in my garden is fencing, and I have large dogs, but watched a video talking about very fragrant plants being good. They cannot smell danger with heavy fragrance. Adam says, stop talking dirty, Shawnee Rose. Vase Place says, nature seems to find a way. We are going to talk about non-plant options after we get through this bonus round of plant shopping. Lavender is number 4, Sweet Romance, zones 5 to 9. Texture, fragrant, fuzzy leaves are not on the menu for the deer. Pick a few stems and bring them indoors to enjoy it in your house. The violet purple flower wands produce continually from early summer into fall in full sun and are very drought tolerant once established. Number 5 is Russian sage. Denim and lace and sage advice are the 2 listed. Zones 4 to 9. Bees and hummingbirds like the amethyst blue flowers. Full sun and dry, unfertile soil, we keep them the happiest for many years to come. Number 6, ornamental grasses like prairie winds. Zone varies by type. Grasses provide a shelter for critters. The finely textured foliage of grass is something that the deer don't want to eat. Okay, they look for more succulent food to eat. Howie says, my dad had a problem with deer, so he killed and ate them. He would burn the fur and put it in the area of the garden. Pops did that to mice, and it worked too. DCB said, yeah, it said sage is good, and mint also. And DCB says to Howie, yeah, that works also. Don't forget, we have a channel called Paper Airplane Kentucky. Is this same creator with Storms, Radios, and Cats is the one who runs that channel. I don't know how, trying to say it in a weird way. Barry has a second channel. It's called Paper Airplane Kentucky. Does drone footage of nature stuff. There we go. I got it out of my mouth. Number 7, lungwort. Spot on and pinkaboo, zones 3 to 9. Let's see here. Pulmonaria, perennials for the springtime. Good for bumblebees with bright pink and blue blossoms. Silver speckled foliage keeps things interesting for the whole season. I think it's a shade. Yeah, shade perennial. Wow, spike speedwell. Look at that. Zones 4 to 8. That's really neat looking. Skinny flower spikes of the Magic Show Veronica variety of the spike speedwell. Sunny to light shade landscape. Good for pollinators, beginning in early summer. It's fun to have layering of bloom time for sure in your gardens. You're welcome, Storms, Radios, and Cats. False indigo, decadence, baptisia, zones 4 to 9. Blue, purple, yellow, pink, maroon, cream, bicolor. All good. As the plant matures, they become denser with more flowers, persisting 50 years or more in the landscape. So choose a permanent place. There's a deep taproot, so they're highly drought tolerant and difficult to transplant. Pick a spot and keep it there for the baptisia. 10, blue star, storm cloud, and string theory Amsonia, zones 4 to 9. Spring, let's see here. Feathery texture, golden orange in the fall, long-lived perennial, low-maintenance landscape. Ornamental onion, serendipity, and bobblehead allium, zones 4 to 8. Yeah, the deer and the rabbits don't like eating onions. Big purple ball-shaped blossoms from mid to late summer, good for the bees, butterflies. It becomes denser with more blooms each year. Heart leaf, Brunera, the list Jack of Diamonds and Queen of Hearts, zone 3 to 8. Oh, look at the leaves. Wow. The texture is sandpaper? Okay, no. Barry says Spike Speedwell sounds like a spin-off show of Speed Racer. DCB says cool looking flower. Bees would love any of these. Howie, Dave, and Vay are still listening. They have left the magical dot. Japanese anemone. I don't know how to say that, guys. I'm sorry. Fall in love, sweetly. Zones 4 to 8. It's this one. It's the pinky, purpley parrot with ornamental grass and sedum for a beautiful fall border. That's a fall blooming perennial. Okay. Rose pink flowers, it says. Coneflower, number 14. We have color-coded. Oh, that's pretty cool. Double-coated summer song. How it, like, changes to the different shades and hues. If you can see. I can make this a little bigger. 12 to 16 inches tall. Blooms all summer long. Okay, what does that say? The leaves leave the spent blooms on the plants to provide winter food for the goldfinches and other birds. They also offer architectural interest in the winter garden. Hardy geranium number 15. Boom chocolata, it says. Zones 4 to 8. Cranesbill. Early summer. DCB says, oh, don't grab that to do your business while camping. I know, the sandpaper leaf. Remember to hit the thumbs up, says Miss Sharon. Howie says, if deer are eating a plant, chances are humans can as well, but not always. There's always the willow butt. Fern-leaved bleeding heart is number 16. Pink and white diamonds, zones 3 to 9. This is full sun, well-drained soil. Has very toxic qualities, but the bees and hummingbirds dig it. Pink diamonds is the longest blooming perennial, beginning in late spring and continuing all the way into early fall. Number 17 is yarrow, firefly, zones 3 to 8. Will light up your summer garden with bright yellow flowers. It's an easy perennial to grow, good for beginners. It stays where you plant it. It's well behaved, everybody. Hey, Gandalf, welcome to the conversation. We're going to deer-resistant plants, where they're a perennial at, and why the deer don't like them. DCB says yarrow. Bees love that. Number 18, Liguelaria, bottle rocket, zones 4 to 9. Fuzzy mustard yellow flower spikes. It's too tough for them to chew it. It's too thick for them, but the bees like it. It's a partially shaded perennial with moist soil. DCB says, that one looks cool. Gandalf says, I'm on panel at Steve, so I can't stay, but I've got this live running. Thank you for the support. Thank you for stopping by to say hi. Number 19, pinks. Paint the town magenta dianthus. Zones 4 to 9. Glamming up our garden with broad swaths of flashy color. Magenta pink in early summer will rebloom intermittently into fall. They don't like the texture of the foliage. I wonder if any of these work for wallabies. Number 20, Astilbe. Astilbe, is that how you say that? Dark side of the moon, everybody. Zones 4 to 9. Usually it's grown only in the shade, but this dark side of the moon foliage grows best in full sun to part sun, has rich chocolate-colored foliage with rosy purple flower plumes, late summer bloom. They need lots of water. Do not let this perennial dry out. I feel like that means if you have some, like, water runoff area, plant it there, right? DCB says, pretty. Storm says, I'm a bit worried, DCBs. I have not seen any honeybees. My yard is usually bustling with bees. Adam says, where's Rick Thielen? I don't know how to say last names. I'm just going to say Rick. When we need him, right? Or Radio Jonesy. I want to know. Do you guys have any of these plants? If you're on the replay, let me know in the comment section. Number 21 is called Goat's Beard. Chantilly lace. Zones 3 to 7. It's similar to Astilbe, showy perennial. Beautiful sprays of lacy cream-colored flowers atop deep green fern-like foliage in early to midsummer, standing 30 to 32 inches tall. It's perfect for filling the middle layer of the perennial border with interesting texture. It grows in sun or shade in average to moist soil. In warmer climates, it will need some protection from the hot afternoon sun. And DCB says there was a large loss last winter, and Barry says, "Oh no." Miss Sharon says, "Same here, Barry, but we have had a lot of rain." DCB says many of the bees you see may be from managed hives, so if so, that could be part of it. DCB says the national losses came out at like 68%. Barry says, "Yes, we have had more than enough rain and cold overnights." 22, red hot poker, pyromania, Nipalphia, zone 6 to 9. It brings unique drama to your landscape. Tropical loving yet hardy perennial butterflies, hummingbirds, and pollinating bees will all visit your red hot poker. I'm sorry. Okay, but deer and rabbits won't be interested since it reblooms from early summer through late summer. Entertainment lasts all season. When not in bloom, its grassy foliage adds texture and movement to the landscape. Oh, there's more. I thought there was only 22. Now we're on 23. Anise hyssop. Okay, zones 5 to 9 meant to be. Agastache. Okay. Cool. Interest into the fall. White sagebrush. Silver lining. Artemisia. Zones 4 to 9. Broadly dissected silver leaves are showy from spring to fall. Use it as a filler in landscape and spiller in mixed containers. It keeps the deer away. Pig squeak, Miss Piggy, Bergamia, and Peppermint Patty. Zones 4 to 8. This is good for after the snow melts. Okay. I never heard of that. That's hilarious. I feel like I need that. Number 26, Bellflower, Mini Marvel, and Bells and Whistles, zones 3 to 8. These are pretty neat. Wow. Tuck it into small areas for lining the front of the border. DCBs, it also wasn't just the US, Canada, and Europe have also seen high losses. It is appearing. Miss Sharon, check it out. Reminding everyone to check out the website and support the channel. We do have shawneegrows.com with a free downloadable square foot gardening guide. Adam says, funny name, but red hot pokers are a showstopper in the garden. Oh, really? Barry says it's like a reference to Red Hot Chili Peppers and Def Leppard. Pyromania! I know, right? DCBs, they are still not sure why. I think it was just part of nature's cycle, compounded upon by the number of managed hives and a higher number of beekeepers nowadays. Howie says, last of the smoked turkey has come out. So good night, Earthlings. You are smarter than a deer. See it, Earthlings. Cool live, Shoddy Grows. Wonderful to hear from you. Enjoy the turkey feast. Okay, 27, bush clematis, stand by me, zones 3 to 7, non-vining herbaceous clematis. Okay, because yeah, most of them climb. Dies back to the ground at the end of the season. Benefits from staking or cages, or like another plant growing near it for support. Interesting. 28, threadleaf coreopsis, zones 5 to 9. Look at the bicolor. Mildew resistance. They have prickly or fuzzy foliage, so the deer don't want to eat that. Barry says, gobble up some smoked turkey for me too, Howie. Good night. Miss Sharon throwing out the reminder that we have a podcast called Learn As You Grow. Check it out if you want to listen to more garden conversations. Okay, hardy ice plant. Hold on a second. Kaleidoscope. Delosperma, zones 5 to 10. Bicolor flowers transition from one color to the next with cream centers. Kaleidoscope stand out on the market with large flower sizes and improved cold hardiness. These plants have prickly or fuzzy foliage. Pretty common that they don't like that, but that's interesting. The shape of it, zones 5 to 10. Number 30, hardy baby's breath, festival star. Gypsophilia, zones 3 to 9. Compact, tightly mounted habit of the variety of this variety of baby's breath. The plant is deer resistant because of its texture, smell, and mild toxicity. Oh, there's rose mallow, summerific hibiscus, zones 4 to 9. Huge, 7-inch wide, heavily overlapping petals. I've seen these in person. They are massive. Let's see here. The color is from late summer through early fall. Flowers are produced at the top, from the top to the bottom of the plant. 30 Stokes Aster, totally stoked. Zones 5 to 9. North American wildflower enthusiasts. This is a new series. Let's see here. Thriving in the heat and humidity of southern summers. And that concludes the shopping portion of the live stream. Now I'm trying to think. I bet you I didn't put the shopping link in the description, so I can do that. Put it in the chat quickly, and then we'll put it in the description quickly. And then I'll go back to the thing I need to be on. We're going to check on the poll. So far, 75% say no deer problems in my area. That's fantastic. DCB says there's generally higher losses about every 20-ish years. Now, in my opinion, it has to do with our solar cycle and higher levels of electromagnetism in the atmosphere, plus spraying. Too much sprays. I think you're onto something, DCBs, and it does make sense. DCB says there were the higher periodic losses in the past. Pesticides in modern culture have added. It is severity in my limited opinion. Barry says, I love the shade of green in your curtains, Shawnee. My curtains are gray. So if it looks green, I'm sorry. They're not. Oh, wait. Are you making a joke about the flowers? Okay, I don't know. I'm sorry if that's... Are you talking about the flowers? I don't know. They're because the curtains are gray. Okay, let's see. LGGG love. Hello, Shawnee in chat. Hey, we just talked about plants for deer resistance in your land, and then we went shopping and looked at the plants, and now we're going to talk about some other ways to keep deer away from the garden that aren't plant specific. Welcome to the conversation, Steve. Nice to see you. DCB says much of that is metallic particles, and I think that could be aggravating the electromagnetic lines in the bees, bugs, birds, fish use the sun's magnetic spectrum for part of their navigation. Barry says, so my hostas may bring the deer to my yard? Yes. If so, I welcome them in the front yard. Yeah. If you want them only in a specific area, like I had in the pinned comment, the hostas, tulips, daylilies, roses, and the falling fruit from the trees will bring them in. Barry says, weird, it looks green. And yes, I was actually talking about the curtains. Oh, yeah, it's gray. Interesting. So let's talk about other ways. So like what you're learning, tap the like button. Don't miss a grow, subscribe. Know a gardener who'd love this? Share the stream. There's fencing. Install a tall fence. Okay, deer can jump high, so a fence should be at least 8 feet tall to keep them out. There's also electric fencing. Running a low voltage line can deter deer without harming them. There's a certain amount of feet up. You put it, 5 feet or lower? So like they run into it. And then I've also heard people just running like an invisible line like a string they can't see at a certain height, and so if they run into it, they get spooked. Repellents, natural sprays. Use homemade sprays like garlic, hot pepper, or soap-based deterrents to make plants unappealing. Usually that has to be reapplied after a rain, and there are commercial repellents you can purchase if you want to go that route. Um, it's different scents that they don't like predator's urine, like Howie talked about, and then rosemary, which we talked about the plant. And of course, the motion sensors and lights or activated sprinklers route, which this works for more than just deer. Sudden water bursts can startle and scare deer away. Motion activated lights, deer are often scared by sudden lights at night. And the sound deterrents. So, like wind chimes, I think someone even has this thing that like has dogs barking if it goes off. The sound of chimes or metallic objects can keep deer away. There's also ultrasonic deer repellents that emit high frequency sounds that are unpleasant to the deer, but we can't hear them. Now, if you have other livestock on the property, I probably wouldn't go that route, to be honest. Adam says, I personally think deer resistant plants don't deter deer. They're plants deer won't eat. I think it's a matter of keeping them out of the garden, probably the next subject. We do have a live coming up that I have started working on for keeping furry critters out. But yeah, that's like, it's interesting that they call them deer resistant plants and they don't deter the deer. I think you have the correct thought on this because like in the beginning we mentioned don't just plant these all in a patch as a fence and think they're going to stay out. It's like this strategic planting them and hiding the food you want inside and these are on the outside or in the shrub or like every other cuz yeah, they'll just keep looking. They have that like browsing perimeter, like know where they walk, and all along there every other plant something that they're not going to want to chew on because they know how to find what is food for them, right? DCB says, I have wondered if any of the migration of birds have been off while we have been in the solar maximum. If I remember right, we are at the peak this year. I haven't looked at any migratory charting, actually. Barry says, I want a 10-foot fence, but only to keep the riffraff out. I may need to rethink this deer thing. DCB says, a deer has poor depth perception. You can use that to your advantage. 2 fence lines 5 to 6 feet apart will stop deer. They are not sure they can make the jump, so most often, they will not try. At least I saw a video on it, DCB says. Okay, so the scarecrow devices are reflective tape or mylar balls hanging shiny objects like aluminum foil, DVDs, CDs. Mylar balloons can confuse and deter deer, but I think it looks terrible. Fake predators, decoys of predators like coyotes or dogs can act as a deterrent, but they're going to lose their effectiveness over time unless you're out there like moving them every week because they're going to be like, well, that thing hasn't moved. It's not going to get me. You know what I mean? And then the strong scent barrier. Somebody was talking about this earlier. Human hair or dog fur scattered the hair and fur around the garden. The scent of humans or predators can drive deer away. And of course, we see this with other tactics in the garden. The cinnamon, the garlic, the mint. Sprinkle strong smelling herbs and spices around your garden. Again, it would need to be reapplied after rain. Create an unpleasant environment. Okay, cleaning up the fallen fruit or vegetables. Deer are attracted to fresh food, so make sure you harvest your crops regularly and clean up the garden. Or some other ways. If you want to keep them out, if you want to bring them in, then do the opposite of what we're talking about. And DCB says big dogs work well. Barry says, yeah, the pie pans work great. Just be sure to eat the pie first. And then DCB says, yeah, I saw that on a video about hair also. I've seen where they cut up soap, ivory soap, and people in the comment section are like, okay, so when the water and the rain makes the soap not be a bar or a shaving anymore, what's happening to the soil? And you're just shaving, gritting soap after every rain? Like, how often are you? It's it's a lot of work. It feels like, right? So if you love garden talk, listen to the Learn as You Grow podcast, available on Spotify and right here on the YouTube channel under the podcast tab. Coming soon is how to keep the furry critters out of the garden, natural, safe, and effective tips. And we're going to get started on our series, Gardening Through History, discovering the ancient tools, survival crops, traditions. What we're going to start with is, I think it's called Neolithic. And it's when humans switched from just foraging to be able to eat to farming. So, like, did it go good or bad? What were the things that they grew, and what were their tools and methods for getting that done? We're going to hopefully find some good documentation to show, because obviously, like, there weren't cameras then. Or look at fossils and stuff. There's Radio Jonesy. We're talking about wallabies earlier. Happy Mother's Day, Mrs. Boomerang girl. Thank you very much. We went over 30 different plants that are for like deer resistance and perennial gardens, and depending on the zone. And I was just curious if any of them would be wallaby deterring. A lot of the common things were if the leaves were fuzzy or thick and hard, they they didn't want to chew on that kind of stuff. So you have to catch the replay to see the list. There is a link in the description for the plant shopping that we did. DCB says, I had one get into my garden once, then my dog saw it. It took off and used my fence as a sideways trampoline, bounced that deer back 10 feet and on its butt. It's never been back since once it ran. Barry says, I have one in my freezer. Destiny Fitzgerald. Thankfully, my Sasquatch looking husband loves to garden and do yard work. Seems to work well to keep the deer away. No way. Oh, that's funny. Welcome in, Destiny. DCB says, I was laughing about it half an hour. I'm very glad my dog didn't catch it. Yeah, that's a sight to see. It's a wonderful story. I love hearing about your guys' experiences in the garden, right? Oh, thank you, Destiny. I like it. It was a good bouquet. Yeah. We'll see how long it lasts. With cut flowers. I love carnations. It's pink, but it kind of looks red on the camera. I'm not a huge fan of roses, but. And then this is good texture for the variety here. It's not a plant to plant outside, but it's like I needed something in the house, so I'm happy. Tammy Harder, welcome. We talked about over 30, at least 30, minimum of 30 different plants for different zones that are perennials that are deer resistant, and how to wiggle them in and around if you're having a problem with deer eating your garden. And we talked about ways to do it without the plants. There's bigger, stronger other things if you want to keep the deer out. But if you want to invite them in, there is a pinned message at the top about what to plant to keep them coming. DCB says it would have made a great video. Yeah, if you had like a trail cam or a yard cam that you could have pulled the footage off of, that would have been hilarious. Adam says height differences along fence lines, like raised beds a few feet away from fences, are a great way to prevent deer from jumping the fence. Yeah, they get freaked out if they can't see it, and like we were talking about the clear line. But even just having it make it harder for them to come in, right? That is great information. Thank you. So for the poll, I'm going to end it, and then I've been copying and pasting it so I could put it in the chat for the replay, because otherwise it doesn't show up for the results. We had 19 votes. Thank you so much. I hope you guys like that I add polls to my live streams. I feel like it gives you something to also do besides what we do normally. So the winner was no deer problems in my area. 73%. Yeah. So the wallaby didn't eat the African daisies. Yeah. It's a struggle to figure out what something won't eat, but once you get there, right? Well, thank you for the heart. I think I saw a heart pop up. That was neat. So there's that poll. I'll put it up for people to read in the replay. Thank you, everybody, for coming to hang out. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you for supporting the channel. It has to be it has to either be the stem, the leaf, or the flower that they don't want. It's either the fragrance or the texture, or maybe it's toxic. Okay, so what was it? It was African daisy, right? Yeah. Let's do a little search. I looked to see if African daisies are poisonous to wallabies. It says no. Okay. Oh, Miss Sharon, around here we worry more about the deer hitting our cars. It gets so bad, the amount of cars damaged from deer during deer season. So bad. And I live in a household where someone hits a deer a lot. DCB says, I need a mouse deterrent. Well, hopefully, when we do our show about keeping furry critters out of our garden, we will talk about big and small. And hopefully, we'll find an answer for you to try. Barry says, I can loan or just give you a cat. Give you a cat, he says. They eat the flower, but not the leaves. Okay. They're just deadheading them for you. DCB says, I pulled back some of my ground covering to get ready to till the garden. Man, mouse trails. Oh, and holes all over the place. I hear about people using the landscaping fabric and planting in burned holes, and they go to pull it up, and all they find is what you're describing. Like somebody planted a crop that's a root crop. She's in Michigan, and she used the landscaping fabric method, the black plasticky. I don't know which kind it was, and she lost like 75% of her crop because of things that were like, we're gonna live under here and eat this free food. And then DCBs goes, yeah, a deer will mess up a car. Absolutely. Miss Sharon says, find a way to keep the cats out. I love them, but dang. Yeah, we will talk about that for sure. Radio Jonesy says, only the back. The back. We're talking about flowers still, right? With the wallabies. Barry says, Southern Kentucky has elk. Imagine those in your yard. Your garden. DCB says, I hope he tills deep and gets them. Elk tastes good. I'd say I lost 40%. Adam says to Miss Sharon, my wife's car, rather she is a magnet for hitting deer on the road. Yeah, oh my goodness. Well, it's like if you're heading to a job consistently at a specific time of day and it's when the deer are running, high chances that you're gonna smuck one, as we say in the Midwest. Barry says, I've never had elk yet. DCB said, I had a mouse in my yard when we lived in Alaska. I had a tent up at the offsite garden for, I want to say it was 4 nights, 3 nights, 4 days. And when I took my tarp up, something was already, it was a vole, I'm pretty sure, was moving in already underneath it. I'm like, really? Miss Sharon says, deer totaled my Mustang twice. I wouldn't give it up. Yeah, Mushroom Mark is not in the chat tonight because he needs to sleep for work, but he'll be in the replay, and hopefully he's okay with me sharing this story. Out of all of the deer he's hit, the one he hit, he actually, I'm not telling the story very good because I'm getting tired. He, what is it called? Field dressed it and brought it to the butcher, and we had it processed and we brought it home. Which it's not, it's very traumatizing to the meat to be hit by a car. I can't remember where it got hit, where it was like, well, you can process it a certain way and use it a certain way and it'll be okay, kind of a thing. And yes, it costs money to have somebody do it, and We weren't going to do it ourselves. I'm just going to pay somebody to know that knows what they're doing to do it, right? DCB says, talk about a big animal. Moose, not mouse. Okay, hold on. I read it wrong. I had a moose in my yard when we lived in Alaska. Yeah, I'd like to hear from GT Junior Grows at Alaska if there's any moose going on. Moose, not mouse. Thank you for the clarification. Tammy says deer are big here too in Minnesota. Not little bitty like in some places. Right, I know. And then Destiny says, thank you for the heads up about mice under the landscape fabric. It's just what I've seen with people. Yeah, I don't have experience with it. I don't use it. Same with Destiny, I have wood chips in like the food forests and around rose plant, and what I've found in there is baby mice and baby bunnies. So it's like they'll live in anything, you know? Adam said, my wife has taken out more deer than I have. And she doesn't hunt. What? DCB says we looked out our front window and a moose, is that what the picture is? Was standing there looking back 2 feet away. I mean, we go and drive and look at bison, but they don't wander anywhere. They stay in their place. Miss Sharon says that's what we do if we can find it. Barry says to DCBs, years ago my Jeep straddled a elk carcass on the road, a little import. I tried to wave off, hit and got airborne, landed nose first, kept going 1,500 feet. His friend drove him back and he said he busted his radiator. Whenever you hit something, because you said this was straddling, and that's like, well, that's a large thing to try and straddle. Whenever you hit something with your front end, it's always to check the radiator, right? DCB said, yeah, the deer are a little up in Alaska. Not sure why. The food options, maybe. DCB says, dang, Barry. And DCB is laughing at Adam. And Barry says, yeah, he said he thought I was some crazy fool waving my arms for no reason in the road. Oy vey. Well, I hope you enjoyed our plant shopping for deer-resistant plant perennials. I'm gonna go find something else to do because I'm not tired, but I don't really want to talk on camera. So thank you all for being here. Grow every day in every way, and we will see you in the next live. Say your goodbyes. We're out of here.